Hey everybody, the Real Behemoth here, back in with another video for Heroes of History. Today we're going to be running through the first few chapters of our hard difficulty in campaign. So in the bottom left here, you've got two difficulties. You've got normal and you've got hard. We're going to go ahead and start running through some of these now. It looks like we've got some restrictions here. So this battlefield restricts the available heroes which are able to participate in the battle. So clicking on this, we have an area attacker. So let's jump into it and kind of see what the deal. Okay, so you can only use an area attacker. So obviously, I mean, these first few chapters are going to kind of be a breeze. I imagine that we'll be able to, push through a majority of these hard campaigns with no issue. I'm imagining until the later restrictions. So we're going to be doing kind of 5-ish chapters at a time. We'll just, pick the highest powered person every single time for the first few chapters and run through it. My plan for these videos is to kind of go through. My goal is about 5 chapters per video until I want to say chapter 15 or chapter 20, when it really starts getting somewhat challenging. That's kind of where I'm thinking. And so once we get to those points, then we won't be doing 5 chapters at a time anymore. And obviously it's also about stamina as well. So right now I've got a good bit of stamina, but I'm going to be kind of clipping these videos quite a bit when I do not have 1200, 1300 stamina. So I'm very curious to see what you guys' thoughts are on some of these hard campaign levels so far. I do like that they give kind of those guaranteed bonuses again, because that's going to be very nice. And I know that they upped some of these ratings as well. So 41% on a Shadow Dial is huge. Now, obviously, we need stamina for every other aspect in the game too, for farming crests or for farming other resources. Things like that. So it can be a little challenging at some times, but that's cool. Look, double drop there. It can be a little challenging sometimes, I know, when you are really needing stamina across the board and you have very, very limited, very, very limited stamina to capture every single resource that you need. I know that's one of the biggest caps in this game right now, along with folios, which hopefully this hard campaign can kind of fix a little bit. So really no struggles. I'm not imagining I'm going to struggle very early on. I mean, based on what I can see, I'll be able to run to chapter 20 pretty easily from what I hear from other people. And then from around that level or that chapter, it starts getting a little bit more difficult for some of the higher end game players. The players that have already completed the main campaigns and things of that nature. I have yet to hear anybody who's fully completed all chapters of hard campaign yet. So really curious to see. Leave me a comment in the comment section below if you have already completed it all. Definitely curious to see what you guys are thinking there. So this is also nice too. You're able to farm a couple more gems here. So for free to play players, that's going to be massive when it comes down to being able to build, a luxury farm or something like that. Okay, this is a weird level. So really you can only use like buffers, healers, and tanks. That's interesting. So I'm imagining there's going to be a lot of weird levels like that. I mean, I can totally foresee them doing like, oh, you can only use single strikers against 2,000 mobs. That'll be really interesting. I can tell you right now, it's not going to go well if they fully restrict it like that. But I'm imagining with hero equipment now being talked about, and we had an announcement in the preview server for the hero equipment, that's going to make things quite interesting. So I'm really, really excited to see how that shakes things up. If we're going to be able to each individually customize our own heroes to giving them the stats that we're really, really wanting to throw on them. That'll be super fun to do, because then it starts changing the dynamic of the whole game, because each hero in everybody's roster isn't going to have the same stats. So, my max means compared to somebody else's max means they're going to have the same stats if they're in the same era and things like that. But with equipment, that's going to change things up. So Let's keep pushing through here. Getting a lot of those pre-mats. So now I'm glad I'm doing this because I wouldn't have to farm those anymore. Still leveling a couple of heroes past their caps. You know, instead of Cleo, let's run Cleo. Medusa can take control. Oh, Cleo can take control of round 2. Oh, there's not even a wave 2. Okay. I paused off auto there for nothing. Perfect. Seeing a lot of double drops, so that's already positive in my book. Let's go ahead and throw Wallace back in there. Tomo, Lance. I don't know. Not really sure it matters right now. Tomo's in a one-shot. Let's save their ults for next wave. That way we can continue running through these no problem. One shot. You know when William Wallace is one-shotting that it's a little easy. Because William Wallace sucks. Doesn't suck, but I'm a William Wallace hater for sure. All right. It's really interesting that they're restricting to like 3-4 heroes. I wonder if that's going to make any impact on things. Let's just run double buffers. And Tomo with the big boom. Saving Queen Liz and Ramses for next wave. And then they're going to be one-shotting. Boom, 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 boom. And I mean, even my troops themselves, if I didn't even have heroes, my troops would probably win these battles, being in the highest era. So that's kind of funny. Let's see. I do really like the look and the layout of these hard campaign levels, though. I think it's really well done. There was somebody in main server as well that did post something very interesting, too. Let's run hot chip set. Let's make things a little faster. There's somebody that posted something in the main server, and it was something like, oh, there's a normal, hard, and extreme tab. And so that could have been a bug, or that could have been, you know, somebody joking around. But, I mean, if they're already working on an extreme campaign, that'll be kind of changing some things up a little, too. Because they're going to have to continue making it more and more difficult for us, because when you're adding things like hero equipment and heroes that have just insane stats and, you know, just really broken abilities, it makes complete sense to continue pushing us and making it, you know, making more and more difficult levels on top of what we already have. Because if you're just going to stick with the normal campaign, everybody's going to be done and just kind of twiddling their thumbs going, hey, what's next? What's the next challenge? I would really like to see some additional modes, you know, a 3v3 team type, you know, arena, maybe like some sort of tournament style at the end for the top players. You can get, you know, some cool things with it or something. I'd like to see something like that. And I mean, even, you know, maybe a world boss or an alliance boss of some sort. I know they mentioned alliance cities that they're working on. But I think it'll be really interesting to see how this game further develops. Because if it's going to keep developing the way that they are developing it, I think it's going to go pretty well. Considering the fact that this game, from my previous experience playing just games in general, this game actually updates at a decent rate. A lot of games don't send out updates very quickly. You know, it's every 4 or 5 months. Like, it's just a long time. But they make constant changes, you know, every 2 weeks or so. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Is this all healers and support units? Wow. Okay. Well, let's do it. So I think it'll be really interesting to continue having updates get pushed out the way that they will. I think that when, you know, a lot of players are finding it difficult to stay interested in the game, I think they're starting to minimize that quite a bit by sending sneak peeks and by showing us, you know, what's in the future. So they're kind of giving us a future roadmap without giving us a future roadmap. And that's going to keep players engaged for a significantly longer amount of time, which they really need. Because that's going to be their struggle, is continuing to not only capture new players, but being able to keep the players that they've, you know, that they need. You know, the top player already kind of quit in the game. He was in my alliance, and he was just like, hey, I have nothing left to do. I'm kind of bored. You know, he had like max awaken 5 stars, the whole deal. So once you get to that point, you've got, you know, all right, oops. Once you get to that point, you know, it's like, what's next? I need to know that something's coming. So having hero equipment being released like that and going, hey, it's coming soon, we're working on it, is huge for the whole community. Still nothing, still no difficulties. It's like 3,800 power. It's crazy. The power levels, I'm just throwing randoms. The power levels compared, I mean, let's run a 60k power team versus a 4,000 power team. We love that. Just letting it run on auto. There's nothing I need to do here. You know, maybe in the future I'll challenge myself. I'll just try and like run 2 stars or something on these levels to kind of show some, you know, lower end players that may already be struggling at this point. Some new players, you know, what type of strategies you can use for some of these levels. But I mean, you're going to have limited heroes across the board. So, I mean, how much strategy is involved? I mean, it's really going to be about formation more so than the actual heroes that you're using in a lot of these levels, just because of the restrictions. So definitely keep that in mind as you guys are running through these levels. But we're at 12 shadow dials now. Wonder how many of these flowers? 10. So about to be at 12 once I get this double drop here. Let's sub Robin Hood out. Let's just have all these quick damage dealers here. Perfect. Now I wish they would switch the screen there. You know how it's stuck on Edison there? I wish they would switch the screen to show where the actual fight is taking place. That's something that I've noticed a little bit more often, is something like that happening where it gets stuck in a specific spot where the battle was, like this, and then it takes too long to switch. I'd like a little bit of a faster switch there. I think that would be very nice. I've got some really good videos coming out. Like I had mentioned before, I've got some Relic-based tier list coming out. And it's really going to, you know, my thought process behind it is, hey, we have very, we have a limited amount of heroes we can use on the 5 stars, on the 5-star relics. However, there are a lot of lower starred heroes that can also benefit from some of these relics, some of which excel with it, you know? So for the Torch, for example, means he's quite up there. He's one of the strongest, if not the strongest 4-star in the game right now. Him with the Torch is just insanity. So if you haven't watched my hero highlight, watch my hero highlight. You know, you're going to see him do massive damage in one of the later campaign levels, and he just pops off. So definitely level him if you haven't already. But that's my thought process is, hey, I think it would be really nice to have everything in one place, you know, and really define what heroes need to be prioritized with what specific relics, because you're only going to have a limited amount per relic. Specifically with the 5 stars, you've kind of got one choice. And so if you're going to have one choice, then you're going to go ahead and need to really decide which hero is going to benefit the most from it, and and for what team, because it's going to change depending on your team formations and depending on the mode sometimes too. So definitely keep that in mind. But I've got some of those coming out. I'm going to be doing one for each relic individually. So one for each of the 5-star relics and one for each of the 4-star relics. And I'm really excited to release those soon. I don't have any kind of estimated date right now, but it should be within, you know, the next week or so. We'll start looking into them. So really look forward to that. And I'm super pumped to get those out to you guys. If you haven't checked my campaign tier list, I have not made one for hard campaign because I don't see really a necessity for it. I mean, it's kind of very similar. The only difference being the restrictions, and with the restrictions in place, it kind of makes it a little difficult to create a tier list because one hero might be restricted, and you might not be able to use that specific hero in a battle that you get stuck on. So I think that one of the biggest things too is coming across very difficult levels. So levels that people are getting hard capped and hard stopped on. Once you come across a level like that, shoot me a comment or something like that, and I can kind of really emphasize what strategies to use there, or hit me up on Discord. I'm a super fan of Discord, the whole server in general. If you want to shoot me a message on the server or shoot me a private message in my DMs, feel free to do so, and we can go ahead and chat, and I can help you kind of try and get through your level, give you a little bit of advice on what to do, what you're missing, what to look for, and when to use what ability, things of that nature. I'm happy to help anybody who really does need help. So definitely utilize me if you want to, or if you can, and you really are hard stuck, because I know a lot of people are hard stuck on a lot of very similar levels. A normal campaign in the last chapter or last couple chapters, everyone was getting stuck at the exact same spots. So I'm imagining that it's going to be very, very similar when it comes to hard campaign. People are going to get stuck at the exact same spots. I wish there was like almost an autofill option. That would be nice to run through these hard campaign levels. Just having an autofill option so I don't have to keep clicking heroes over and over again. But that's super, super small. They don't need to do anything like that. Would be nice though. Still running through no problem. Kind of just rambling, talking, playing the game. So hope you guys enjoy this type of video. It's a little bit different than my previous campaign videos, just because I didn't, videotape the very beginning ones. So I wasn't able to run through them like I am on this one. That's what makes it a little bit different. So if you have something specific that you guys want me to talk about in these videos while I'm ramping them up, let me know, because I can talk on any specific subjects or any specific things in the game that you guys are really wanting more emphasis on, and I'm happy to do that for you guys. So I know a lot of I've told you to mention in the comments or comment in the comment section a couple times now, but if you really do have something, feel free to do so, and let's get to it. I think that we are going to stop after this chapter's over, and kind of do maybe 4 at a time, but I haven't decided yet. These are pretty brainless. Perfect. 772 stamina left. Or there could even be a power thing that they could add. Hey, if you're above certain power, you can skip this level. That would be nice. Like 5 to 10x the power, make it something crazy, but also somewhat reasonable for the higher end players or even middle tier players. A lot of the people who've been playing the game since launch or even a couple months, you're going to be able to run through all these levels super, super easily, which is great for the free rewards, but kind of boring. So far. Looks like another just tank healer type of level. Super fun. Like, they can't even get their skills off. And Caesar's melting through them with his burn shield. Just crazy. Makes my heroes feel like giants almost, and I know they're not. I haven't even tried, the last level of the game in normal campaign yet. Maybe I'll go ahead and do that right now. Kind of add a little bit of a twist to this video. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to normal campaign. Oh, it takes me to chapter 5. Last level here. Not even touched it. Haven't even tried it. Now this is what I'm talking about. A little bit of a power difference here. So we're gonna run. So we've got Leif, Lagertha, Freydis, Eric, Ragnar. So all the Vikings. Let's run Caesar, Cleo. Means I really want to run Medusa. I think Medusa is going to be better than Means in this level. Let's go ahead and swap these around here. And Kin in the back for a little bit extra heals. Let's give this a shot. I may have to run Robin Hood, though. Let's see how things go. I hate that. See how long that range Medusa skill is? All right, let's go ahead and invulnerable. Wait for everybody to bunch up for Cleo. Are you kidding me? Like, that's what I'm talking about in this game. You have like all these different heroes here, and you're gonna choose the tiniest cluster of mobs to hit instead of the heroes that are absolutely murking me right now. That's crazy. All right, Hot Chipset's dead. All right, Kin, let's see what you got. That Ragnar is super tanky too. Yeah, so this is what we have in store for us in the later campaign levels for sure. It's going to get even worse for hard, so I'm looking forward to the challenge here. It was close enough without even really trying. So go ahead and beat that another day, but that was kind of good for a first attempt. Jumping into our last chapter 5 of this hard campaign. Let's see how quick we can run through this. Let's go back to Robin Hood. He's going to have very decent, regular, basic attacks. Wallace with the Grand Slam there. Stage 1 complete. Double drop. Perfect. And stage 2. So I noticed that they're kind of keeping the same restrictions. I wonder if the restrictions are staying similar on similar stages. That's something that I need to look at. Is if restrictions are staying similar on similar stages, we can kind of preemptively almost know what's upcoming. That would be kind of interesting. I'll take a look at that after this battle real quick. Kind of my observant thoughts here. Is stage 2 going to have a similar... All right, so stage 3, area attacker, manipulator. 4, is this stage 3? No. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder how they separate it. I wonder if it's in like a rotation or something. That's something I'm definitely going to look into. And are the chances that we're going to get these materials increasing? They are. 52%. That's really high. Okay. Wondering how high they increase. I'm sure I can look at the wiki page or the Forge of Games page and find that answer out pretty quickly. So if you guys haven't checked them out, I definitely recommend using them. I mean, they have a ton of information. You know, you can build your own city layouts, you know, organize your treasure hunt teams. You can do a lot of stuff on their sites that they've created for you guys. So they're great community creations. If you haven't checked them out, you can check them out and find their links on the Discord server, on the official Discord server. Just go ahead and search for their community creations forum kind of pages or chat text channels, and you can find their links and look into what they've built and designed for this game. Very detailed, tons of information. You can calculate so many different things, calculate how much it'll cost you to level your hero up at whatever level you're at, you know, and then, you know, if you want to max it out, how long is that going to take you? How much food, how much resources, things like that. So tons of information. I use it all the time. I love finding out, you know, hey, how many gems would it cost me to level up a hero from, you know, 0 to 150 or from 80 to 150, or how much do I have left? You know, and you can calculate that by going to your hero, you know, not having enough food to level them up, seeing how many gems it costs, kind of do the calculation. Hey, it's going to cost, I get about this much food per gem. And it actually increases per era too, for those of you who do not know. So for the light spenders or even heavy spenders, It's really going to pertain more to you when you're gem rushing heroes, if you do gem rush heroes. A lot of people that are probably starting the game now are going to look into gem rushing heroes, or even, you know, some of the end game type of players that just need to level up a couple of newer heroes they receive to a little bit of a higher level. So it's very, very detailed, and, you know, you're going to be able to calculate it no problem. So you just look at the overall food that you need from one of the either the wiki or the forge page, whichever one has that. You see how much food you'll get essentially per gem and calculate that way. It's super, super fascinating information, and it gets cheaper and cheaper to level your heroes with gems the higher the era that you're at. So I've done it a couple times, you know, with like Robin Hood or Cleopatra. You know, I'll just quick rush them to 80 so that they're able to be used right then and there if I don't have food. Because a lot of the times when I was needing them, I was super stuck. So they were very, very useful. All right. Another thing that you can do is also use them for allied cultures too. I know a lot of people really like to plan their allied culture layouts. It tells you how much you can produce per hour, you know, where you should expect to end on, things like that, based on the information that you're able to get. So, yeah, like I said, tons of information. Check them out. Great places to gather some information, hero details, things like that. So, yeah, and even upcoming events, upcoming heroes, you know, they'll tell you, hey, your next, you know, rally of heroes, when it gets, you know, published, but not published, if that makes sense, they'll have that thrown on there too. All right, so we've completed our first 5 chapters. I'm wondering when our first folio is going to happen. 55% chance now. I've got 22 of them. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of different video, and I will catch you in the next one. Please leave a like and subscribe.